Hello everybody, welcome to this 100 subscribers special pick a card reading. Today we're going to be focusing on the archetypes that have the most influence on your life, at least at the moment that you find this pick a card reading, because even though it is a 100 sub special, you can find this reading at any time and it'll still be relevant to you at the moment that you find it. So first of all, thanks for subscribing, those who have, and please consider subscribing those who haven't. In case you're not familiar with pick a card readings, I kind of think that you are, but just in case there's somebody watching who is not, these are 4 piles that I've pre-shuffled. I haven't looked at what's in here, but you can choose one of these by going to the timestamp that I'll put in the description below. This is pile 1, this is pile 2, this is pile 3, and this is pile 4. So I'm going to go and read each pile separately, and then we'll see what you get. As per usual, I am an intuitive reader, so I might interpret a card differently than you would. And if a particular card, especially in a pick a card reading, says something different to you, then it probably is that meaning for you in particular. Make sure to share that as well in the comment section below. I'd be interested to hear what you got out of the readings. Anyway, so I'll give you a moment to stare at these cards and the items that I put on top. Pick them at random as well, so if any of them speak to you in particular, that's probably the pile you want. And I'll just wait a few seconds and then we're going to get started. Okay, pile number 1. Let's take your little item and put it somewhere where you can still see it. Like over here is a good spot for our little bunny rabbit. First, let's take a look at the archetype cards. What we've got for you. Put these over here for now. So let's see, we have here the nectar. Alright. If I can get them off each other, because they do tend to stick. This is one, there we go. The nectar is your first archetype card. Now, nectar to me says that it's almost like a sort of ambrosia thing, and what's coming through is that you always have this source within inside you that's going to give you energy even when you're feeling really down. So I'm guessing that you have like a little extra battery that most people don't. I'm just going to put that over here for now. Let's take a look what else we've got. We've got the poet, so you have certain poetic soul, at least part of your soul is very poetic, and you may be able to rhyme things, or you might be able to see beauty in things that others cannot. Like for instance, a lot of people will see this and go, mostly that is a big black blob, but you can probably see the little birds and a beautiful colored sky above it, and I think you tend to see that a lot, or perhaps this archetype's telling you that you probably should focus on these things a little bit more. You could probably introduce a little bit more poetry and beauty into your life. And lastly, we have here Kairos. So Kairos is a bit more like the time between time, or the time that is not our own time, divine timing, mythical timing, the time that you spend spacing out, that type of thing. So combined with these two over here, it's almost like you're more likely, or at least you should focus on I guess the silence between your thoughts, like they tend to say, meditation, the little moments where you got nothing going on, you can just kind of space out and stare off into space, and that might also bring a lot of poetic thoughts and feelings that you can perhaps do something with, and might also replenish this source over here. Because you probably have the source over here, like you got this little extra battery that most people don't have, and I think this is directly connected to this realm where Kairos comes from, and by doing that and going and focusing on poetic parts of life, I think you can recharge that, so you can keep that battery buzzing. So that is something that's definitely playing a part in your life. Let's take a look at the tarot cards. Let me just move these guys over here so you can look at them while I pull these other cards. And the nectar right there. So far we have a fairly poetic, dreamlike person here. At least the group that is looking at this has these themes mostly throughout their life. Let's take a look what else we have in the tarot land here. This is the moon, reversed. And I think that makes a very good connection to these two in particular, because while you're out there kind of spacing out and spending some time to yourself alone with the universe, you can definitely uncover things, because the moon tends to hide things. And just like the lobster is coming out of the water to peek from the depths into the world, you will probably get glimpses of things that most people cannot see. That is very interesting. Next we have the Seven of Swords. That also kind of lines up quite well, because you are able to glimpse through things. You're also likely to see through lies and deception a lot easier than the average person would. Wouldn't say that you're perfectly able to spot a liar 100% of the time, because that's just something that nobody can do. But you're less likely to be fooled, and you're also perhaps more likely to get like messages from beyond to say, hey, mind that person, they're not really up to anything good. So that is also a good reason to focus on these archetypes, because they'll definitely shield you from that type of behavior a little more than the average person. Next we have here, who is this? I haven't seen him yet. This is the King of Pentacles. Okay, good. That might suggest to me that if you were to want, or if you wanted to, you could perhaps focus on a career in this path with these archetypes. Maybe some poetry that comes from beyond, or some way of maybe something like divination, something along those lines. If you ever considered maybe starting some type of divination channel or business, that might be a good opportunity for you. At least it is likely that you will be successful in that. Next we've got here the Four of Coins. So once again, it looks like the angels over there. This is actually maybe more of a warning, or perhaps a don't worry about it. Like if you were to turn it upright, you've got this person in the middle and they've got a few angels on their side, and the Four of Pentacles is usually like a money management thing. You're kind of on top of your finances, and this might actually suggest like maybe you want to look into that a little bit more, because people who tend to be a bit more dreamy and less of the earthly side of things tend to not worry too much about these things. But it is a thing that you really do need. Kind of also getting a read that maybe some of you are very selfless, like you tend to give stuff away because you're like, oh well, I got so much of these things, I don't need all of this. But you do need your earthly matters to survive. And I guess more specifically, this would say you're okay to charge for these things. If you do start like a business in divination, stuff like that, it's okay to charge for that. Like you do need to eat and everything, and if you want to continue to help people, you got to make sure to help yourself as well, and don't be afraid to ask some type of compensation for that. So that is not a problem. Lastly, we have here the Nine of Pentacles. Okay, so this is this is definitely a follow-up of this other card, because the Four of Pentacles saying don't worry about charging for that, because if you don't, you have the Nine of Pentacles reversed, and the Nine of Pentacles usually means like being self-sufficient, being able to take care of yourself. And in this follow-up, of course, to the Four of Pentacles reversed is just saying don't worry about charging for these things, because otherwise you're going to have a very tough time and you're going to be struggling in order to keep yourself afloat. So don't worry too much about charging for the things that you do, because the things you do are valuable. And as you can see here, you definitely have a very strong connection to the otherworldly that most people do not have. And you're definitely allowed to be compensated for that. So I hope you found that interesting. Hope you found that something to consider. And we're going to move on to the next pile. But in any case, I want to thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing if you had. And if, maybe if you hadn't yet, this might be a good time to do so. Either way, thanks for being here. I'll see you next time, and bye-bye for now. Hello, pile 2. It is time to take a look at your reading. I'm going to put this over here. This is a little clock, which should be openable. There it is. See, you got like a tiny little timepiece. We're going to put that right about here. Okay, I'll just close it so you can actually see it better. There, we're going to keep it in the corner so you can keep looking at that if you want it. Let's first take a look at your archetypes to see what it is that influences you the most. First of all, we've got, this is the Hearts. So you are definitely somebody who is either very strong-willed, strong-hearted, likely to give people more attention and time, resources than perhaps others would. Perhaps you should as well, but in any case, you have a very caring heart. And if you don't find yourself agreeing with that, then perhaps it's time to focus on the heart as well. Like it's saying like maybe you want to work on that. But I'm going to go and assume that you do actually already do these things and possess these qualities. Next, actually a good lineup. This is the Stone. I think this means that you're definitely very tough and you're not likely to give up. You're basically the support that other people can rely on. And perhaps that is also something that you find in your life as well. Perhaps you grew up surrounded by people like that and you now want to emulate that. And over here we have the Offering, which to me seems like on the one hand you're a very charitable person, which is also seconded by the Heart over here. But I think on the other hand it also kind of looks like you could ask for things yourself, and it looks almost like this person is reaching out into the universe. And I think that is something that you could definitely focus on as well, asking the universe for the things that you need, because so far it looks like you're a very supportive type of person who helps other people, but is there anybody there to support you? And if you find that that is not the case and you can't reach out to other people directly for things that you need, support or whatever it is, finances, anything really, then you could reach out to the universe, because the universe is always listening to the things that you want and need. And if your intentions and your desires are clear enough, then you can definitely get what it is that you ask for. And if you find yourself getting things from the universe that you don't want, then try to figure out how it is that you think about the things that you want. Like, are you thinking, for instance, like, I like money, let's just go for something basic, but I also have an idea of people who have a lot of money, like certain prejudice about people who have money, and the universe might look at that prejudice, which might be stronger than your desire to have money, and they'll only give you enough so that you don't feel like you are the type of person that you don't like because they have too much or something along those lines. Just take a look at the things that you think and feel about the things that you want and need, and be clear, and also really feel the things that you want, and they will be able to supply them more effectively. So that's your archetype lineup. Let's take a look what the Angel Tarot has to say. This is a new deck, so I wanted to try it out. First card is the Nine of Cups. Okay, so this is a nice harmonious card. I do feel this is something that you create with the way that you go about giving people everything that you want. And I think if you were to also take this last one into consideration, then you will see more of this harmonious energy, because the 9 tends to be also a bit of a thing that is specific for a individual. Like 9 of Pentacles is you're able to take care of yourself financially, and the 9 of Cups is you're feeling good within yourself. This is how I'm seeing it. You'll feel the balance and harmony in your life if you were to make sure to take care of yourself as well. And if you're able to take care of yourself, people tend to use the cup half full, cup half empty thing, like to see if you're either a positive or negatively minded person. Somebody who is a giver tends to take that cup, and regardless of how much is in it, they will keep giving it to other people until they run out themselves. But if you make sure to keep all your cups full, you're more able to give people what they need, and also keep yourself afloat as well. So you don't have to give everything away. You'll have so much bounty of your own that you are able to give things away and feel good about yourself as well afterwards, and feel that you've also taken care of yourself. Next we have here, okay, so this is kind of like on the universe side here. This is the reversed Knight of Pentacles. That basically means that you do tend to give more than perhaps you should. You should maybe take a look at being a little bit more selfish. I know a lot of people don't like the word selfish. I mean it more in the sense that you need to be able to take care of yourself. You need to be able to keep that cup full, and also to just take care of yourself so you can continue to take care of other people. Now, Pile 1 had a lot of selflessness as well, so if you're like a person who has a lot of selflessness in your life and it's kind of getting in the way, maybe you want to also take a look at Pile 1. Let's put this one over here. Next we have here, this is the Page of Pentacles. All right, here we go again. This might also call on spending habits, and it does kind of line up as well with the other cards that we've seen so far. You tend to throw money at stuff. Maybe you're somebody who's quick to donate to charity or just give people what it is that they want, and there's nothing wrong with that. Once again though, with the lineup here, and make sure that you've always got enough for yourself as well, so you can continue to do that, because I'm pretty sure people really appreciate the thoughtlessness that goes into you making donations of any kind to other people. It could be time, could be finances, could be resources. You might be somebody who quickly takes things to the thrift shop as soon as you don't need it anymore. That's great. Also make sure that you can take care of yourself as well at the end of the day, so you can continue to be this charitable soul and not suffer for kind-heartedness. And more pentacles. This is the Ace of Pentacles, and I'm guessing, yes, this is indeed the Ace, but yeah, I've not seen this card before, but this is indeed the Ace of Pentacles, and that basically means financial beginnings. Could be once you start following this advice, you're going to see more financial opportunities as well, and you'll find a way to strike a balance so you can continue to be this charitable soul and give from the heart. So it is going on the heart side. Might also mean that you might have some type of career path in the direction of charity, for instance, or perhaps you know a lot of people who do this type of thing, who tend to give more than they should. Perhaps you can also have a business opportunity helping them out, coaching or something along those lines. Maybe doing some relationship therapy as well, because you do have the heart here, and you are that rock that people can rely on when things get tough. So perhaps there is definitely an opportunity there career-wise as well. Last card we have here is Temperance, and it is upside down, and that just lines up with the rest quite neatly. This is the balance that you need to strike, which you currently haven't struck yet. And next to the Ace of Pentacles, I think that definitely also means that it could definitely be an opportunity for you to help other people strike their own internal balance, so that they can live and do things according to what their heart desires, and have you to support on to make this a reality and continue to harmonize with themselves as well as the people around them. So yes, recapping really quickly, you have very strong hearts and people rely on you, and perhaps there are people that you definitely like to rely on in the past that you're now trying to emulate. Make sure to not give more than you have, so always turn to the universe and the people around you who can help you, and make sure to keep yourself in balance so you can be in harmony down the middle. So that is it for my pile 2s. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you found that interesting, and that you're also going to live by these archetypes and the advice given here. Once again, thanks for subscribing, and if you haven't already, make sure to consider that. I would really appreciate it, and I'll see you in another reading, and thanks for watching. Bye bye for now. Hello my pile 3s. We're going to take this little doll thing. We're going to put that over here so she can watch over your reading. We're going to first start with the archetypes over here and see what you've got. First of all, we have here the bridge. Right, so you might be somebody who tends to bridge things quite literally. It might be you are able to be a diplomat for certain people, or there's different types of thoughts, beliefs that you're able to connect for other people and also for yourself. This also means that you might have an easy connection to the otherworldly matters, and maybe you have an easy connection to spiritual things, Akashic records, that type of thing. Just able to connect to spirit realms, people who have passed on, that type of thing. And even if you don't find yourself crossing that bridge too much, I believe that there is definitely a strong connection for you, that other things will come through and perhaps give you impressions and information through the bridge. So there's definitely a good connection there. Next we have the comic. Okay, so you might be somebody who is able to connect to people as well through humor and comedy, things like that. Just being the clown in the group perhaps, because humor does tend to help a lot with processing certain things that might be very difficult for people to process. Cute little cat as well in the middle, I just noticed that. And also we have the same rainbow colors here as well, so maybe some of the humor that you're getting might be from other sources other than your own, but people who tend to be the jokers of the group, they are like catalysts. So I do feel like if people are dealing with very tough issues and you're just there to lighten up the mood, even if you're not necessarily cracking jokes, your presence alone could be enough for certain people to feel better about their circumstances and just kind of like offload some of their negativity. Always make sure to keep the people at a certain limit, of course. You don't want to have people relying very heavily on you. You do need to take care of yourself, because the comic as well tends to be somebody who tends to take a lot of suffering and pain and turn it into something good, but sometimes that is also at their own disadvantage. So make sure to always keep your own boundaries intact so people don't take more than you can give. There's a lot of taking and giving in these readings today. The first two piles were also a lot about that. So if you're somebody who tends to take or give more than they take, pile 2 is a good one to take a look at as well. And that references to pile 1, so maybe all 3 is a good thing for you to look at. But we're just going to continue with this first. So we have the bridge in the comic. Next we have the forest. Okay, so the forest is a mythical place. It is a place where a lot of people tend to get their resources back in the day. It is also a place where a lot of things tend to happen. A lot of people tend to get lost in the forest and then mysteriously end up being found somewhere away where they probably shouldn't have been able to get to themselves within the time that they were lost. Forests also tend to be a very place where people can connect to their own spirituality. They go there to calm down, connect to nature, turn within. You can also see this little place down here. It's almost like a little doorway into the realms again, maybe perhaps the bridge. And perhaps with this lineup, I might say that if you want to recharge after having been the comic for a lot of people, maybe you want to go and find nature, places of natural beauty that you can go and recharge and perhaps feel that connection to the bridge more strongly. So you definitely have a good connection with nature, and it could be any type of nature if you don't have like forests available immediately. It could also just be any other type of natural park. Maybe you have a desert nearby, maybe you have like snow-capped mountains or just a park. Any type of natural greenery or nature is a good place to go check out. Of course, within limits. If you have like a very dangerous area nearby with lots of rattlesnakes and stuff like that, maybe not go there without necessary precautions. But you definitely need to connect. And if you have none of that, but you do have a window, then even staring out into a blue sky can definitely help you connect with nature. Because if you look at the comic again, I just noticed that this cat, it has like a tear over there on the side of the face, just like I was referencing earlier. Sometimes people lean too heavily on the comic, and in order to fix that tear and to patch that connection to the bridge, you need something to connect to nature and yourself through your own nature. So that's the archetype cards. Let's take a look at what the Angel Tarot has for you. We have here the Page of Swords. Page of Swords tends to be somebody who speaks kind of quickly, maybe a little bit too quickly, maybe a little bit too harshly, and I think it is reversed in this case, meaning that you might be very down on yourself. Maybe you have a lot of internal criticism, and this card is basically telling you to stop that, because there's really nothing that you're doing that is so terrible that you need to come down on yourself that hard. So we're going to put that right here. That's going to be the central focus along with the comic, because people who tend to be very funny also have a very dark side to them. Something that they've experienced in their past and that they're definitely still trying to process, and perhaps also through humor they're trying to process that. Could also definitely help to process that by going through nature and connect that bridge. Next we have here 3 Cups reversed. You might be a slightly lonely person, or you might be somebody who tends to hide away from their friends and family to not feel that connection. I can definitely connect to that. Like, I tend to not feel that people are genuinely interested in connecting to me. You might be somebody who is very private, tends to hide things, tend to hide perhaps that dark scar there, and this card is basically telling you not to do that. So in addition to not being so critical to yourself, also try to go and seek people out more and just connect with them, because that can also definitely help with processing certain things. Next we have here 3 of Swords reversed. You might feel like 3 is a crowd. It is once again upside down, meaning that it might be something that you're feeling. It kind of lines up with the 3 of Cups reversed as well. You might be somebody who purposely stays away from crowds because you feel like you're too much, and I'm here to tell you that that is definitely not the case. You're a giver. And regardless of what you think other people might think about you and your presence, you are not too much. You're not taking up too much space. You're not taking up too much energy or time. It's okay if people offer you a drink or something to eat. If you show up around dinner time and they offer you a plate, don't feel too bad about that. Let's see what we have next. We have here the Tower. Okay, so that might mean the end of an era. Like perhaps after this reading, you're going to consider perhaps doing things differently than you normally would. Maybe you have had a Tower event recently, or you're about to experience a Tower event. A Tower event being something that is going to throw your world upside down. It doesn't have to be literal things breaking or things like that. It could just be a certain mindset that suddenly turned upside down, turned on its head, that you never thought would happen, but it's definitely showing that it might, and it might also bring you closer to yourself. Let's take a look what the last card is showing. Oh yeah, here we go. You might be somebody who's very careful and will very carefully plan things out. You don't like to leave things to chance, and the Fool in reverse definitely here to show you that. But next to the Tower over here, I'm here to tell you that you probably should go ahead and trust on the universe a little bit more, connect to that bridge a little bit more, and through recharging your battery, you should be able to just trust whatever happens, and that it's good for you. And I think the Tower event is going to point that out a little bit more. It might suddenly have you relying on people or things that you normally wouldn't do because you feel like you're so independent you can take care of things yourself, leaving nothing to chance. But a tarot might actually force you, quote unquote, into a position where you can't do that and you have to rely on other people and other things. And you might find that that is even not that big of a deal, and you may have wanted to do that a long time ago already. And I think the Tower in this case is also going to turn all these cards upright. Like you're suddenly going to rely on the universe more. You're going to stop with the negative self-talk. You're going to start seeking people out more and not feel like three is a crowd. And once again, this comic over here might be able to start smiling instead of frowning, because even though it is a very cute looking cat with a funny hat on that makes people smile, currently it is frowning with big watery eyes. And if you were to take all of this into account, then you might also get some energy boost from your own comedy and from connecting to the bridge and the forest and other natural places as well. So that is what I'm seeing for you. Hope you found that interesting. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, then thanks for that. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you in another video. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now. Hello, pile number 4. We're going to take a look at your archetypes. First of all, we're going to put this really cute button that I got a while back over here, so you can always look at it. So we're going to start with the archetypes, and you actually got more archetypes than the others. I felt that you needed 4 instead of 3, so we're going to take a look at what it is that you got. First one is the womb. Okay, so you might have a very strong connection to what came before. The womb is also kind of like that maternal shield that you experienced way at the beginning. It also could mean that there are definitely plans or seeds planted within you that may come to fruition one day that you need to nurture. It might be something that you've always wanted to work on, ideas that you wanted to work on, businesses that you wanted to start, something along those lines. Now the womb is also saying that it's still at an early stage. You really need to focus on that. You got like this triangle as well. Time, effort, and energy that you need to put into developing this plan and this seed, but it's definitely there. You got a lot of potential within you. Next, over here we've got Anima Mundi, which is basically the animus of the world. You can see a lot of stuff in here because the world has a lot of energy and things going about it, and I think you're very good to connect with that. And also I think the womb card over here is also showing that you have a lot of work to do here as well on the world. You have a lot of things, plans to put into motion, a lot of people to connect to as well, because the animus is kind of like the personification almost of the world, and you have a lot to give and a lot to do with that. Plenty of symbols. Might also be worth taking a look at some sacred geometry and things like that, because you do see a lot of symbols here that have a lot to do with I guess symbolism within the world that a lot of people adhere to, even if they aren't aware of that consciously. Has a lot of astrological signs in as well. Maybe you need to take a look at your star signs to see exactly what energies were there when you were born, how that influences you, what you might want to focus on, what you need to work on, and what comes naturally to you. Your houses in particular, I'm hearing that you need to take a look at the placement of the signs in your houses, and of course where all your planets are and stuff like that. So if you don't know that, you can probably look that up very easily by going to a place like Astro Cafe, I think, is a good site for that. You enter all your information and get a whole list of the star positions when you were born. And I think you need to look at that in relation to the world that you'll find yourself in and what you would like the world to be. And I think the seed is definitely found within that. Next we have here the lover. Okay, so this is once again, look, you've got another little seed there, because this is the same thing that we see over here with the womb. So you could be somebody who really loves the world, wants to take care of it, And it might also mean that you're going to connect to a lot of people through romantic relationships or just partnerships, because lovers, it doesn't necessarily mean relationships. It also could just mean friendships, family relationships, anything like along those lines. Perhaps even partnerships in businesses, that you can connect to somebody in such a way that you can inspire them, because there's a lot of inspiration in this card. And you can help people as well to connect to themselves and the world more through that. And lastly, we have here the cave. Okay, so cave has, once again, almost a seed at the top here, although in this case it's a light source. I think in this case it's more of a protective thing, and also the light in the cave lights up things that most people would not be able to see. So combined with the other archetypes here, I would say that your inspiration and your star alignments and your way to connect to people will definitely help shed some light on some darkness, and perhaps reveal what these hands are holding or holding back that other people might not be able to see for themselves. Or maybe you'll be able to reveal that to people at the moment that they need it. I think you'll be able to connect to a lot of that, like shed some light in other people's darknesses, but also in general the world itself. Like, I see you as somebody who is going to be able to connect to the world in a way, in a very earthly manner, but also guided by the stars to help shed the light that we see here in the cave. Okay, let's take a look what the Angel Tarot has for you. We have here the Five of Wands, which is more of a conflict card. I see this as you're not necessarily a part of this conflict. Even though there are 5 people here, I think you see a lot of conflict, and I think you're going to be able to sort that out. Like, that is one of the goals of your existence here. There is, of course, a lot of strife in this world, and I think you can kind of take a step back, like a meta position, the fly on the wall, and see what it is all about, and perhaps also offer ways for certain people. Any type of level of conflict, could be just in your family or in the neighborhood or the town or whatever else is beyond that, or the world, depending on how big your plans are, of course. And you can basically go to both sides and say, hey, look, this is the actual issue and we can work on it doing X, Y, and Z. That's what I'm seeing here. Next we have the Page of Cups reversed. Now the Page of Cups is usually a emotional surprise, and I think perhaps upside down is more of an internal thing. This person does not look too happy with this cup, by the way, I just noticed. No, they're kind of like holding it at a distance, but I think with you it also means more. Oh, there's also like a water dragon back here, you see that? I think that might also be a reference to the fact that you can help people see the conflicts and see what's really there, because they're currently staring at that cup, but there is like a monster behind them. Like the things that they focus on are not the correct ones, and I think you can definitely help shed some light in that. And a lot of times the emotions that are felt by certain people, and perhaps also even by yourself, are not the actual heart of the matter. And I think you can definitely shine some light on what is actually going on, because you see this person has an angel above them as well, giving them inspiration. And I think that is going to be kind of your part as well. You're going to get that inspiration from higher up. You're going to pass it down to people who are currently focusing on things that they shouldn't be focusing on. Next we have here the Five of Swords. Okay, so the Five of Swords is a good combination with the Five of Wands here, because Five of Swords, you can see somebody who is victorious. People have tried to come for them, fight for them, but they have won over them. So I think that's also going to be something that you're likely to do a lot or experience a lot. Like, you've got people coming at you with all sorts of conflicts, but you're able to see through all of the matter, so you can definitely quickly defeat whatever troubles are there. Let's take a look at this guy. I actually haven't really seen this card before. Yeah, he also looks very contemplative. There are a lot of people back there. Look, see, normally Five of Swords has a few people like kind of giving up the fight, but there's a whole crowd back there. You're kind of standing there by yourself, contemplating what just happened and what the meaning of it all is. I think that's also one of the main things for you, to try and find the meaning aside from the source, just to figure out what is going on here, because conflicts arise because something needs to be dealt with. And I think you're the type of person who can see why these conflicts arise and what it will ultimately lead towards, and you can perhaps warn people of the directions that things are going in, and then perhaps get people to choose what it is that they really want. and head in that direction instead of just mindlessly going down a path without knowing what's on the other side of this cave. Next we have here the 10 of Cups. Well, yeah, that's right. You're going to be bringing harmony through all this because you're able to guide people towards the harmony over here. You can see there's a lot of people. This is like the Noah's Ark right here. See? You're guiding them towards the peace and stability that they want. Very clear reading that. And we have here the 3 of Wands, which is sometimes also a travel card, but it's kind of like an internal one here. You like to travel and to distant places. Also, you're dealing with the good and the bad, like you often see in certain cartoons. There's like a little angel sitting on one shoulder and a little devil on the other. You're able to balance it out quite well to see what both sides are trying to offer you, where that will lead. Once again, with the 5 of Swords back here, similar type of energy. You're able to do that as well with the actions, because the wands tend to be with actions. Like you can really pick and choose what would be the best action, weigh all your options, and then go the right direction, and you can help other people do that as well. So you are definitely a balance bringer over here. You're able to see through things that other people cannot see. You're definitely here to help out with a lot of trouble that is currently on the world by being that friend and lover that can definitely guide them towards that light and see the bigger picture. That's what I'm seeing here. That's a lot. Hope you found that interesting. Hope that helps as well. Also, thanks for subscribing if you'd already subscribed. If you haven't, then please consider it. I would really appreciate it. In any case, I'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching, and bye bye for now.